Hi everyone, myself Pooja here, and welcome to my channel. So today I'll be walking you through on how do you prepare for AWS Certified AI Practitioner exam or AIF-C01. So just be a few minutes to brush up how do you have to go through and my experience as the way of how I prepared for. So here it will follow the same format as your cloud practitioner, in which you have 65 questions that run for 90 minutes. It just not only has MCQs here, you have MSQs, any ordering you have to do, and a lot of case studies to go through. Here, as similar to the practitioner, you have 5 domains. If you can see my hand here, 5 domains, which will be your fundamentals of AI and ML, your generative AI fundamentals, your foundation applications, responsible AI, and finally, security, compliance, and governance. So here, I'll break down into one by one to make it much more easier. So coming here to domain 1, which will cover up to be almost a little bit of your percentage for overall. So you have to understand a bit on the core of AI and ML as basics. So you guys will be aware of what is the difference between what AI, ML, and deep learning is. So AI here is a very broad concept of creating intelligent systems that mimic a human intelligence. ML here, that is machine learning, focuses on how we train these models based on a given data sets. And deep learning here is like a subset of what neural networks are. If you have come across convoluted neural networks or RNN, GNN. So other than that, we need to be aware of what type of data types are present, like structured, unstructured, or data that are being labeled or unlabeled. Following that, that is where we come into learning paradigms, where we focus on like supervised learning, unsupervised, semi-supervised, or reinforcement learning. And you will come through all of it in one by one as per you need to learn in depth. So what would be the key AWS services that you come across? Well, it will most likely be your AWS SageMaker, like a platform for you to build and train ML models, followed by Complement and Textract for conversion of text, Amazon Lex, and many more, and including even Amazon Poly. So moving on to the next domain, which is your generative AI fundamentals. You might have come across a lot about generative AI since we've been using a lot of ChatGPT or Gemini, and maybe even Claude AI as well. So here, we go from the basics about tokenizations, or about tokens, all the way to transformer architectures that help you to power through many foundation models. You will also come across this term called foundation model as you study through. Along with that, you'll also learn about model life cycles, that how you do from your selections to all the way to monitoring them, which involves you to use what kind of data sets, and for that, what kind of evaluation you have to depend on your deployment process, how you're going to be doing it. And along with that, mainly you would have come across prompt engineering, right? So prompt engineering here, like how you define your prompt in order to get a particular output. Here you will learn through different types like zero-shot prompting, negative prompting, chain of thought reasonings, and many more. Here, what type of services do you'll be undergoing or you'll be going through? Mainly Amazon Bedrock, and for those who have used or have a builder ID, like an AWS builder ID, who would have come across this type of chatbot, Amazon Q, a business assistant. This is where you will be using it a lot in your development, for your business objectives, and most likely for your projects or anything that you need a lot of help or guidance for it. Along with in your services, if you have any doubts or queries, you will have Amazon Q as your assistants. Moving on, we have domain 3, which would be your application to foundation models. So this is where will be a highly important domain here. Here is where a lot of case studies come here through. So make sure that you are aware of what all is necessary in this. Starting from your model selections, like what kind of foundation model you're going to be choosing, and what kind of customizations you'll be going through, whether you'll be fine-tuning it or using a retrieve augmented generation, that is your RAG models. Along with that, you should know about evaluation metrics. It's not just about your accuracy or your precisions. You should be aware of different metrics like BLEU, ROG, or the BERT score. And furthermore, you should understand about how deployment works and how you should know to optimize those costs as well as your speed, your for latencies, and most likely even for your scalability purposes. So here, what kind of services? Not just Amazon Bedrock, you'll also be working on SageMaker. And for this service, AWS Infergia and Trainium, I don't know if you can work on them, but you can actually go through them and learn about them. Okay, so moving on to the next domain, which is your responsible AI. Now, as per right now, it may not seem that much important based on the fact that the amount of exam weightage is less. But here is where they ask many case studies that can trick you for this. Here you will learn a lot about principles like fairness or accountability, sustainability, or anything about confidentiality or integrity of your data, that you need to know how to detect any bias that is present, like if there's underfitting or overfitting happening. You should be aware of those terms you'll also come across, so you should be aware of them. And along with that, any unethical considerations, like any harm that can be crossed through, like prompt injections, which you may have come across, or anything that a malicious links being hidden inside those prompts and all. So you should be aware of what you should be doing whenever you come across of deploying any models. So what all will be tools that will be available for such AWS services? One will be your guardrails that will be present in Bedrock or SageMaker Clarify, that will help you to detect any bias that is present around, or model cards that are part of your SageMakers, in order for you to learn about what are the models that are available with the documentation being provided. Finally, it would be the last domain, that is security, compliance, and governance, as it gives the same weightage as your domain 4. Here is where you focus on your AI to have many secure and compliant followings to be done here. Since you guys will be aware of the AWS shared responsibility model, here is where we learn through AI services what you're responsible for and what AWS will be securing here. For example here, that will be encryptions, or it could be IAM roles, users, and network securities like VPC isolation, security loops, private links. And furthermore, example, I'll tell you AWS CloudTrail, I would suggest for logging and monitoring here, AWS Macy for you to protect any sensitive data, Inspector for you to analyze and check through if there's any vulnerabilities present. So, and furthermore, so after covering all these domains, here is where strategy comes and plays through here. So mainly do be aware that you should have not just studied through, have a lot of hands-on practices, labs that are present through, not just with those particular services, any of the services that you can go through. It's not just AI services, it could be your regular cloud services as well. So here you have hands-on practices by seeing through maybe AWS labs that are present here. And for that also, I'll be telling about my experience here. So in my experience, what I had followed through is that I've actually put on the suggestion down here is I will suggest Stephen Mark, one of the good instructors, and is also very much well aware of AWS. And his course is actually very good and very informative. And you can understand most of the concepts much more clear, even if you are coming as a beginner. And I will put the link in the description. And for me, on a personal note, when it comes to hands-on experiences, I would suggest as I've put the link down here below, next work. It is actually a very a growing community right now that helps beginners to learn about AWS via projects and portfolios. So there's a link over here, and I'll add it in the description as well. It will be really helpful for you, not just on your AI services, overall in many of the cloud services around here. And yeah, I had also wanted to say that more than your studies, do enjoy what you're actually learning through, because no matter how much you're well aware this is a certification exam, do know that it is also very much important for you, as it will help you in your future, for you to be aware of what is going around and what these services are. And as they develop furthermore, you can go through AWS news over here. So thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for watching. And myself, I'll introduce again. I'm Pooja, the AWS Cloud Captain at Chennai Institute of Technology, certified in AWS AI Practitioner and AWS Solution Architect Associate. So thank you guys for so much for watching. And I'll furthermore update more on videos about AI Practitioner, like what questions we'll be going through, and furthermore on any other like certification exams, whether I'm preparing or I've gone through. So yeah,